Welcome. I just wanted to go over some of the features of the new iOSD that's built into the Paris Mega V5 control board. It's going to look a bit funky, sorry. I'm actually sitting inside and I'm not getting great GPS reception, so not everything is working and it's looking a bit funky. But I just want to go over a few of the features of the OSD. This is the main display, and you can see in the top left corner it sort of almost is getting some lock on some satellites, although it isn't actually doing so. I've got my bearing at the top, the bottom it's telling, and over on the right hand side it will tell me the GPS coordinates when it does have a solid lock. It's trying to get it, but it's just not going to do it. Mine's been modified, and we've got the center section where we've got the artificial horizon. So if I move the airframe around, you actually see that tilting and changing as we do so. Mine's been modified. I've got the altitude showing on the right hand side and the climb descend rate or vario showing on the left hand side. It's just how my brain works, so I modified the code, but yours will be a little bit different if it ships preloaded, in that those two will be reversed. The bottom left corner you can see I'm currently getting a 100% RSSI signal. I'm just going to put my hand over the antenna of my transmitter and you can see very quickly how much that changes. Currently the LiPo is sitting at 16 volts, I'm disarmed, and I've had the battery plugged in for 7 minutes and 49 seconds. Now the first thing I'm going to show you that changes is when I arm the airframe. The time in the bottom left hand corner changes from total battery time to flight time. So that is now a flight time counter. I must have enough of a GPS lock that just down the bottom near that timer we're getting an arrow blinking in and out. That's my direction home, which will be very flaky because I haven't actually moved yet. And that's the basic display. You notice the word armed has now disappeared, so I know it is armed by the lack of the word disarmed. I'm just going to flick over to minimum display. This is using my switch I've set up as the OSD switch on my radio. And in the GUI, so if I'm being horribly distracted by all this other information, I can make it go away. Very handy feature. Now, really the coolest thing about the OSD is after you land and disarm, you get the statistics displayed. Okay, so you can see there the trip time, the maximum distance, maximum altitude, my maximum speed, the total flying time, how many amps were drained, and the maximum temperature. I'm not monitoring those things at the moment, so their reading is 0. And all I have to do is slightly raise the throttle and that statistic goes away and we get back to the main screen. Now I'm just going to restart this and show you the opening screen. So bear with us, that reboots. Now down the bottom here it says menu, throttle middle, yaw right and pitch full. So I'm just going to wait for it to finish booting up, and I'm actually going to do that. So I've got my throttle to center, I'm yawing right and I'm putting full pitch, and I get to the first of the setup screens. There's 8 of them, and this is the hidden secret of the internal on-screen display, because here what I can do is I can move a cursor around using my pitch and roll, and once I get to that cursor to a point I want to change, I can then use my rudder stick to change those PID settings. So I can actually use this at the field to program PIDs. When I've made the changes I want, I simply come down to save and exit, and if I now give right rudder, right yaw, that will save and exit. But there's 2 levels of save, and I'll come back to that. If I hit this save and exit, that's a temporary save. If I disconnect the battery, I will lose what I have saved just there. But there's a reason for that. If you mess something up, all you have to do is cycle your battery and you're back to your settings as they were before you started messing with your PIDs. Okay, if I, at this stage, instead of saving that, I go, right, I get to page 2, and it gives me some more information: RC rate, exponential, the roll pitch rate, yaw rate, throttle, PID, multi-wheel cycle time, and I2C errors. So some more really cool information. Page 3 is about supplies and alarms. So I've got the display voltage, my alarm point, whether I'm displaying the video battery, displaying temperature, what my temperature alarm point would be, consumed milliamp hours I'm not showing, and current I'm not showing. So I can actually turn features of the GUI on and off as I go through all this. Page 4 is the RSSI data. Page 5 is calibration stuff. So what I can do here is I can actually, if I wanted to, move up to calibrate AC, move my rudder right, and it's going to count down as it does an accelerometer calibration. Now you can do that from the sticks on your radio as well, but the really important thing in here, which I really like to use as a feature, is the magnetic calibration. I can go out into the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a park, and with my on-screen display go to this and get my magnetic calibration and do it. Shows you my current heading. And the most important feature, remember I said before on page 1 back here, there was or down the bottom here, we've got this save and exit. Whoops, I popped out of it. Okay, at the bottom here we had save and exit. Right, if we go around to page 5, and I said before, when we save a setting, it will be saving temporarily. Well, if you move your cursor to EEPROM right and then hit right rudder, that will actually permanently save your changes to the EEPROM. So if you've done some changes, you like the changes, you've been saving and exiting, and you've been flying around, and you're happy with what you've got, you then go to page 5 and select that and hit right yaw, and that permanently saves the settings. Until you do that, they're only temporary settings, which is a really cool feature. It makes tuning stuff really, really handy. Alright, so I'm going to move on. Page 6 is whether or not I'm displaying GPS data. So a lot of the stuff you do in the setup GUI of the OSD, you can actually do via all these screens. Alright, so what we're displaying basically from the GPS is there. Right, I'm not actually displaying coordinates. Anyway, I'm displaying them on top. Whether or not you're displaying call sign, throttle, the altitude sidebar is working, what units and what video system. So, and finally, page 8 is the statistics page that we had at the very beginning. So I'm going to throttle down to 0, and that's going to disappear, and I'm back to my main screen. So the on-screen display lets you do a lot more than just see what you're doing while you're flying, and actually will let you do a lot of tuning and a lot of field adjustment of the airframe as well. I'll see you guys online with any questions. Catch you later.